He was once a prominent figure in Shanghai, Wing-jing Takeshi. During the prosperous times of old Shanghai, many men left their hometowns to seek opportunities here. In 1898, a large number of refugees fled to Shanghai, and Takeshi and his brother went to Shanghai together. Despite feeling nostalgic for the changes in the world and the absence of their hometown, they were full of ambition when faced with the bustling streets of Shanghai. However, reality quickly dealt him a heavy blow. People like them, without power or influence, could only start from being coolies to survive in Shanghai. As refugees, they were naturally excluded by fellow coolies, and at the end of the day they only received meager wages like a single coin. At this moment, the luxurious carriage parked nearby attracted attention. Takeshi couldn't help but reach out and touch the tall horse, only to be scolded by the carriage guard, saying that it was Tam's horse and how dare a stinky coolie like him touch it. Takeshi, full of youthful arrogance, couldn't swallow this insult and immediately took action. The commotion here quickly caught the attention of Tam not far away. Tam was the hottest figure in Shanghai, who came to Shanghai from his hometown at the age of 18 and, within 2 years, single-handedly went through all the major gangs in Shanghai. Now, in the entire Shanghai, only the gang leader Yang, who colluded with the police in secret, dared to confront Tam. However, with the backing of the British, Tam was unbeatable even if Yang colluded with the police. Facing Takeshi, who had defeated his men, Tam didn't get angry but instead took out a silver coin and threw it on the ground for him to pick up. A silver coin was undoubtedly a huge sum for Takeshi at that time. Just as Takeshi was about to bend down to pick it up, Tam kicked him, berating Takeshi for being cowardly. He then took out a pocket watch worth 10 silver coins and hung it on the horse's head, telling Takeshi to steal it. Tam drove the carriage away swiftly, and Takeshi caught up and jumped onto the carriage. Tam was skilled, but Takeshi was agile and nimble, and in the end, they fought to a draw. Tam looked at Takeshi with satisfaction, realizing early on that Takeshi was a talent worth nurturing. That's why he deliberately set up this test. He gave the pocket watch to Takeshi, but Takeshi threw it back. He would take what he wanted on his own terms. Tam understood the youthful spirit. However, Shanghai wasn't easy to navigate. He told Takeshi to come to him whenever he encountered trouble. Tam owned a nightclub that had been thriving lately, attracting many guests and inevitably arousing jealousy from many. Among them was Tam's old rival, Yang, who ordered his men to take over the nightclub from Tam's territory. Meanwhile, Takeshi and his brother joined a band to gain experience at the nightclub. While wandering around the hall, Takeshi helped a singer out of a difficult situation. He falsely claimed to be a musician and, after receiving compliments from the girl, actually got on stage and started playing the drums. His rhythm was surprisingly good, and for a moment, his handsome appearance stole the spotlight. Just as everyone was immersed in the music and dance, Yang's men, disguised as guests, pulled out weapons and launched an attack on the crowd. Chaos ensued, with guests screaming and fleeing in all directions. Takeshi grabbed the girl's hand and fought his way out of the chaos. Skilled as he was, he didn't falter even against several men wielding axes. The leader assumed he was one of Tam's men due to his demeanor, but Takeshi clarified. Despite the leader's threats, Takeshi confidently faced him and even boasted about his background. Takeshi broke the leader's 4 fingers with a single punch, thus making an enemy out of Yang. Yet, it was his bravery that won the girl's heart. The manager of the nightclub offered Takeshi several silver coins as a token of gratitude, but Takeshi refused, stating that he fought for himself in this battle. Shortly after, Yang actually invited Tam to a restaurant to apologize, which was clearly a trap set specifically for Tam. Before deciding to attend the appointment, Tam sent someone to scout the surroundings. Valerie, the owner of the nightclub, was known in the underworld as Tam's lover. However, before leaving that night, Tam told her to find someone else to marry, warning her about the dangers of being associated with someone like him. On the other hand, Takeshi was still reminiscing about his first encounter with the girl. In order to see her again, Takeshi and his brother robbed 2 foreign merchants, stole their clothes, and then went to the bridge near the nightclub to meet the girl tonight. The girl had already harbored feelings for Takeshi, so she went to the bridge for the appointment in the evening. However, the brothers waiting on the bridge were greeted by an unexpected group of visitors. It turned out that the 2 foreigners had brought police to arrest them, and the 2 were taken to the police station to give statements. Takeshi unexpectedly heard about Yang's plan to deal with Tam tonight at the restaurant. Both morally and logically, he couldn't just ignore it, so he instructed his elder brother to steal the gun from the next table, and then he subdued the police officer. Meanwhile, Tam arrived with his men on time for the appointment with Yang. Yang appeared friendly on the surface but was actually trying to delay Tam so that the police could apprehend Tam's men downstairs. The police captain deliberately broke in, taking Yang away in front of Tam while they secretly plotted. With no one around Tam at that moment, it was the perfect opportunity for them to strike, so they sent assassins to attack Tam. However, relying on his exceptional skills, Tam fought his way out with an axe. But this time, in their attempt to kill him, almost the entire gang came after him. Despite Yang's ability to take on hundreds by himself, he was overwhelmed for a moment and ended up being tied up by his adversaries. Critical moment, Takeshi appeared with a gun and rescued Tam in time. He then quickly subdued another person and, finally, successfully escaped with Tam. As a gesture of gratitude, Tam helped Takeshi resolve the police station issue and revealed his own desire to retire from the underworld and find a beloved woman to spend the rest of his life with. This statement reminded Takeshi of the girl waiting for him at the bridge, and at the same time, the girl who had been waiting for a long time thought Takeshi wouldn't come and sadly left. The next day, Tam, accompanied by his men, aggressively raided Yang's premises. Yang sought help from the police chief, but the chief had no intention of getting involved. However, since Tam already knew that the police were involved in the background, how could he let them off easily? He warned the police chief not to interfere anymore, and then handed over the nightclub to Takeshi. However, Takeshi was disdainful of this offer. He came here specifically to apologize to the girl in person, only to be told by the boss that the girl's uncle had been involved in a conflict here a few days ago, so he took the girl and left Shanghai to get married elsewhere. The departure of the girl left Takeshi with mixed feelings. He wanted to rise to a higher position but didn't want to seize Tam's nightclub. So the boss told him about a place where one could collect hundreds of silver coins a day as protection money. But due to its extreme danger, no one dared to touch it. However, Takeshi was excited to go there. Armed with a large machete, he single-handedly confronted a group of Yang's men, confident and fearless because he knew he had the ability. The gangsters, facing him, were like mice in front of a cat, quickly rendered powerless by him. Takeshi then pursued his advantage, and with his men, he took over several of Yang's territories. Takeshi deeply understood the hardships of the common people, so he rallied them together to live a better life, winning their admiration. The current Takeshi was no longer the same, living a life in the upper echelons of society based on his own abilities. Which made Yang jealous. Yang came up with a cunning plan to sow discord between Tam and Takeshi, and he chose Valerie as the instrument. At this time, Tam and Takeshi had some friction due to their differing ideologies. Tam believed Takeshi's sharpness was too much and if not restrained, would lead to trouble. However, Takeshi, riding on his momentum, was not receptive to this advice. Under Valerie's instigation, the two had their first intense argument. Takeshi's brother accused him of forgetting his original intentions. But Takeshi was completely infatuated with Valerie and refused to listen to anyone's words. As Takeshi's brother turned against him and he found himself isolated, Valerie saw the opportunity and devised a plan to lure him into Yang's trap alone. By the time Takeshi realized something was wrong, he was already surrounded by a group of assassins. Despite his exceptional skills, he couldn't match their numbers. Yang's men used torches to obscure his vision, and axes fell on him like raindrops. Just as Takeshi seemed doomed, Yang, the mastermind behind the scene, appeared with his men, relishing the pleasure of revenge. However, at that critical moment, Takeshi's beloved horse suddenly came charging in, allowing him to escape the encirclement. But before they could get far, the horse was struck down, and the assassins closed in on him. Standing beside Yang was Valerie, whom Takeshi had always trusted. She approached Takeshi step by step, intending to personally kill him. Meanwhile, news of Takeshi's trouble reached Tam's ears. He led his men to the bridge where Takeshi was in trouble, only to see the British backing him standing there. However, his men suddenly opened fire and killed the British. It turned out that they had long had ulterior motives against Tam. They lured the British out in Tam's name with the intention of killing them, so Yang could capture both Tam and Takeshi in one fell swoop. Tam was now in a dire situation, and Valerie gleefully informed him of Takeshi's demise. It turned out that because Tam had once abandoned her, she harbored resentment towards him, but she still loved him. She agreed to work with Yang to deal with Takeshi, with the intention of sparing Tam's life. However, Yang betrayed her by not only giving her to his men but also killing all of Tam's trusted confidants in front of him. The reason Yang kept Tam alive was to leverage his relationship with the British. Fortunately, Takeshi did not die. His brother rescued him onto a ship, where he reunited with the girl he hadn't seen in years. Since Takeshi woke up from his coma, half a year had passed, and Shanghai had become completely dominated by Yang. Tam suffered in jail, while Takeshi, single-mindedly seeking revenge, used the excuse of being unable to forget Valerie to keep the girl who loved him at arm's length. But in the end, Takeshi understood his true feelings, and the two lovers finally overcame hardships to be together. However, the good times didn't last long. Valerie suddenly showed up and told Takeshi that Tam was about to be executed. Immediately afterward, she betrayed Takeshi by revealing his whereabouts to Yang in order to save Tam. Upon learning this news, Yang immediately sent men to the dock. However, they fell into Takeshi's trap at the dock. Hidden in the shadows, a British officer overheard them admitting to the murder of British citizens. The officer not only pardoned Tam but also prepared to assist Takeshi in his revenge. During Yang's celebration ceremony, paper money suddenly floated down from the sky and his trusted aides were silently assassinated. Takeshi, with Tam's coffin, publicly exposed Yang's crimes. Each of them was strapped with explosives, swearing to seek justice for Tam. In the midst of explosions, Yang's men suffered heavy casualties, and Tam, unexpectedly hidden in the coffin, shot and killed several henchmen. Takeshi and Tam coordinated smoothly, making swift progress. In the end, only Yang remained struggling. He begrudgingly launched an attack on Tam, severely injuring both Tam and Takeshi with sharp mechanisms. Although the two ultimately teamed up to kill him, Tam departed from this world forever. Takeshi handed Valerie the handkerchief Tam left behind, then turned around and boarded the departing train with the girl and his brother. On the handkerchief was a sentence written by Tam in blood: "If we could start over, I wish it were tonight."